Her name is often spoken of in reverence, but it's also been the source of social gossip. She's one of India's foremost dancers, but getting to the top hasn't been easy. She's faced a lot of adversity, but she's never let it get her down. How does she do it? Judge for yourself as you meet Sonal Man Singh. Welcome to the program, Sonal.
Hello, Karen. Thank you.
Sonal, they say that what Sonal wants, Sonal always gets. She never takes no for an answer. Is that an exaggeration, or is that in fact the secret of your success?
My name is Sonal, which means golden. To become gold, you have to go through fire. So I have gone through a lot of tests and obstacles, but then I get what I want, because what I want is always wonderful.
And it's like preordained because of your name.
Right?
Now, in fact, you come from a very illustrious family, and I gather that your grandfather was a very important person. Tell me about him.
My grandfather was a lawyer who studied under gas lamps in Bombay, and then he was practicing with Bhulabhai Desai and Muhammad Ali Jinnah before he decided to join the freedom movement and donated all the property to Mahatma Gandhi, became one of his closest associates and a great friend of Sardar Patel.
And went on to become, I believe, Mr. Mangaldas Bakwasa, which was his name, one of the first 5 governors of independent India.
1947, at the stroke of midnight, 15th August, sorry. And I remember we were all carried on elephant. I was a small girl in Nagpur. Nagpur was the capital of central provinces and Berar. Nizam's province, Berar, was joined to central provinces, making it the largest chunk of territory in India. And there we were. And although by then he had resigned from Congress, he didn't agree with some of Nehru's policies, and he had resigned even from that 4-anna membership. So he was a personal friend and personal recommendee of Mahatma Gandhi.
And all the big names that we associate with the independence movement, Nehru, Gandhi, Patel, were in fact family friends.
Patel more than Nehru, I would say, because from childhood we saw Patel and Sardar in and out. Maniben Patel, in fact, his daughter, who was always very, very serene and austere, she would laugh and joke with us. And Sardar Patel, my first recollection of Delhi visit was in 1948, first Governors' Conference. We stayed in Sardar Patel's house in 1 Aurangzeb Road. And we were getting in the way when they were leaving for Rashtrapati Bhavan. So Sardar said, "Arey bachon ke liye kuch khelne ka intezam karo Gujarati mein. You know, give them some toys." So in the evening when they came back, he said, "Maniben, what did you do with children all day?" I got them live toys. She had collected all the malis and drivers and everybody's So
in a sense, you've been used to commanding people from being actually a little baby.
Oh my. I wish that were true, Karan, but I think it's something rubbed off, yes.
Now, in fact, your grandfather was the patriarch of the family, but little Sonal was very special to him, wasn't she?
Yes, I think being the second child, elder sister and younger brother, I was sandwiched. And he had a special eye for me. And he was very indulgent. He was indulgent to all, especially women. And but I was, I think, quite special. And I treated him more as a friend than as a grandfather.
When you first took to dancing, it wasn't something that he was particularly keen you should do. And in fact, in your teens, you often clashed with him over dancing lessons, didn't you?
You know, the irony was that as governor, he entertained all the big names of Indian art. Musicians, instrumentalists, dancers, they all, you know, Bade Ghulam Ali Khan, Omkar Nath Thakur, M.S. Subbalakshmi, Uday Shankar, Siddheshwari Bai, you name them, and they were all state guests, staying in the government house. Every day concerts were held. So he was very fond of that. We were taught with private teachers and at school. I never went to convent school, by the way. We were all put in Gujarati medium schools. When it came to doing dance, you know, in a real big way, going from Arangetram, the maiden debut, working morning and evening, then he put a stop. He said, "What's all this going on? I don't want a dancer in my nachne wali, you know, in my house." So clashes, I think, made my resolve that much firmer and gave an idea to him that here was something after his heart.
There was a day when he caught you going to a second dance lesson of the day, and he stopped you, said, "Go to your room," but everything went very differently, didn't it?
Absolutely differently. I did go to my teacher and broke down and cried and refused to go back to Government House. He sent ATC, secretary, everyone. At night at about 10:30, 11, they drove me back in the little Morris 8, and there he was sitting, and my mother was there, and he was very upset, but I was more upset So I just vanished into my room. My teachers did the talking. And for 3 days I didn't eat, I didn't drink. I refused to see anyone.
You were sulking with your grandfather.
I was. I was. But then, you see, Karan, what I learned from him was that be always open to reasoning, to logic, to arguments, to a dialogue. On the third day, he finally just came and physically got me and put me on his lap and said, I want to talk to you, talk to me. I know you are very angry. I want to hear what you have to say. And so I said, you know, how do you account for this kind of a thing? You stop me from going. Rukmini Devi is your personal friend. And you said, no dancing. Why did you teach me dance? And why did you scold me in front of Nijilingappa, the chief Wilson Jati? You know, that was another thing, that what you have to say should be said in person, not in front of others. At that age, one is so, you know.
Did you win him around? Did you convince him that there was essential truth in your position?
Yeah. And Karan, that was a time I'll never forget. The guidelines for my career were drawn. He said one thing, promise me one thing, and I'll do everything for you. And that one thing was, I would never use dance as business.
And have you stuck by that golden rule?
I have.
So dance has been, in a sense, creativity. It's not been money-making for Sonal.
No. Otherwise, I would have built my own houses and whatnot and institutes instead of living in a rented apartment, fighting in the courts, and not being able to build my institution even after 10 years.
But, you know, one of the things dance did do was to bring into your life a succession of very colorful men. And I believe one of the earliest admirers was the Polish director Andrzej Wajda. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. I was Sonal Pakwasa, then not married, and come to dance for the earlier film festivals. Then there were, you know, really chosen people used to come. And at Rashtrapati Bhavan, then there was a dinner. But he just sort of sought me out. I'd dance for them. Come especially from Bombay. I still remember his blue eyes. And very interesting man. At that point, I was willing to run away with him.
But you never did. You restrained yourself. But you did meet your first husband just a couple of years later in '64 at a performance, Lalit Man Singh. Was it love at first sight?
No. He had his first sight on me because I was on stage. I was dancing and he was in the audience.
So he saw you, but you never noticed him at all.
I didn't know who the hell he was.
But when you did fall in love, you had the most unusual engagement, didn't you?
Well, yeah. And I wish I'd got married to that sword also. I was engaged to a sword because he was in Geneva and his parents were in Cuttack in Orissa. So my father escorted me to Orissa. First he sat down with a map and said, now where is Cuttack? How do we go from Bombay? And finally when
This is because Orissa was beyond what he considered the ken of civilization as he knew it.
1965, back of the beyond. And finally when we got there, then so they said we are Khandayats, Kshatriya. And Lalit is not there, Nirbandha Hoga, and with the sword. So with the sword I was tied and I was engaged to a sword.
So Lalit wasn't there, the sword replaced him, and Sonal was betrothed to the sword.
Yeah. But I thought the same sword then chopped us apart later.
That was a couple of years later. I mean, in between, your father-in-law, Lalit Man Singh's father, introduced you to the world of Odissi dancing.
Yes, a most wonderful man. My grandfather and Lalit's father, Dr. Mayadhan Man Singh, are the two people who influenced me the most, who gave me certain values which I hold dear to myself, and whom I invoke every day.
So you have a great debt to your father-in-law, your first father-in-law, even if you don't necessarily...
No, only one father-in-law.
But there was a second husband that comes later in the story.
Nevertheless, I mean, he didn't have a father too.
So this first father-in-law was special.
Very special.
And he took you to the great Kelucharan Mahapatra, didn't he?
Yes. After my father had left me there, they said, leave her behind, we want to know her better and she should know us better. My father just, after the second day, he left happily for Bombay, left me there. And the same evening, my father-in-law said, you are a big name in Bharatanatyam. I was a big name already, Sonal Pakwasa. Now, as Oriya Bahu, I want you to learn Odissi. How about that? I said, fine. So, off we went to Kala Vikash Kendra, at least idea what he was going to do, with his cane and smiling eyes. And he arrived at Kala Vikash Kendra. They were all there to receive him. And Kelu Babu came running, and Babu Bhai Doshi and everyone. And he said, he pointed his cane at Kelu, said, Kelu. And Kelu fell at his feet and said, "Eh, Morbo, tume ta Odissi sikhaibo. This is my daughter-in-law, you will teach her Odissi." And that was that. Then he sat down with his cane and watched my first lesson.
And from that moment, the great Odissi dancer was born. Now, you said a moment ago, and I want to pick you up on that, that the sword that engaged you also ended up chopping up the marriage, and you didn't stay married to Lalit Man Singh for more than about 6, 7 years. What went wrong? Was he the wrong man, or was dance too possessive a mistress to give you time for a husband?
Karan, may I say that what went right? What went right is that, yes, you're right, the dance had always been the central point in my life. Maybe at that young age, I had not realized that. I knew I loved dance. There was a flame in me. But you know, one wanted to experience life. And at that point, like all mothers, my mother had said, get married, have children, be a good wife. Everything else follows.
So you weren't ready for marriage, really? It was too early for you?
I don't think if I ever was or have been. But the point is that I did have a wonderful life with Lalit. I do not wish to say what went wrong or what went right, because, you know, and I think between two people, so many things happen. But Lalit was, of course, married to his career, and I was with my dance. And the question always asked is that, then, why did you marry? But the point is that, you know, when one is young, as I said, you marry, you experience everything. If it doesn't go right, good. Jai Ram Ji ki, all the best
It's part
to
of
you.
the flow of life. And in fact, the flow of life took you on in 1974 to Germany, where you had a terrible car accident.
Yeah.
You broke a collarbone, several ribs, 12 vertebrae. What happened?
12 vertebrae. Well, I was teaching a workshop in Bayreuth, which was the Wagner, Richard Wagner's Makkah. And at the time of the international festival, I was also teaching a workshop. We had gone to visit our friends in Nuremberg. That was a Sunday. And returning back late at night, it's a very wooded area. And that time it was adjoining almost the East German border. So very few cars. It was drizzling, it was dark, wooded area, a deer ran across. And although we know, good drivers know that you never, never, never brake at high speed for animal or for anything. The speed was broken, the car did 3 turtle somersaults, I was thrown out about 15 feet on Macadam Road. I fell, tuck, went off.
The doctor said you'd never dance again, but you proved them wrong within 2 years.
1 year.
1 year.
In 1 year.
Was that a heroic struggle?
Yeah, that was. But again, I would say that I'm convinced I was born to dance. That reconfirmed my idea. And without Dr. Pierre Gravel, my chiropractor in Montreal, from Germany, they said you can't dance ever again. You may walk after 2 years. I was taken to Montreal where my German friend was posted. And that's where this chap heard about me, because he'd seen me dance before I'd gone to Germany. And he heard about this. He came from his holiday chalet, he looked at me, and he took charge. And he helped me come back to
So your
my
doctor, in a
dancing
sense, gave you the strength to recover and become a dancer again.
Yeah, because he said, I'll talk to the German chap and find out if you can really not dance and whatever. And, you know, I couldn't speak, my ribs were broken, I was in... I mean, terrible pain. I was like a worm. And then he came back one day. He says, I'm coming and I have to tell you, you know, what really is the case. And Karan, believe you me, I was looking at him lying flat. He was there, his blue eyes. I said, I'm afraid you... And I started howling. You will be able to dance again. He put that desire to live again in me. And he said, I took a psychological bet. You know, I said, I have to bring this girl up.
Okay, you did recover. You danced better than ever before.
Yes.
And you also got married a second time. You married George Leshner.
Yeah.
And once again, 2 years later, it was all over.
Too young.
You're not very successful with marriages, are you?
Karan, I realized that I'm very successful with friendships. That marriage puts a burden. It stretches you towards duty, responsibility, all the words that were absent earlier enter your life.
So Sonal's a free bird who likes her freedom, and the marriage means constraints.
No, for them it means my duty as a wife. I mean, earlier, in my friendships, I've always been very, very honest, very close, very warm. I've been a giver. The minute the man gets married to me, he expects X, Y, Z, A, B, C, A to Z.
You're saying the men were wrong, but do you think there's a slight danger that perhaps Sonal was a little selfish?
I'm
But is
not
there a
saying
danger
men are
Sonal was
wrong. Men are
selfish?
all right, and I'm also right. And there is something in between, that between two rights, maybe something doesn't work. I'm hugely selfish and hugely self-centered. Why not? Aren't you? Aren't we all who are doing something worthwhile in life?
Let's take a break at that point. Sonal, I want to come back in part 2 and talk about what it's like being this wonderful person sitting in front of me, Sonal Man Singh.
Am I?
We'll be back in just a couple of moments. Stay with us. Welcome back. My guest is Sonal Man Singh. Sonal, your unconventional lifestyle has made you, sadly at times, the butt of social gossip. How have you contended with it? You ignore it completely. Literally, water off a duck's back. But there have been times, haven't there, when it's costed you? I mean, for instance, you were struck off the national honours for a long, long time because people thought you weren't right.
Yeah, that I was leading an immoral life. But just as well, Karan, because then it made powers to be rather, feeling guilty about it all. And finally, when the honor came, it came in a big way.
Tell me how it came, because there's a lovely, charming story attached to it,
Yeah,
isn't there?
absolutely. It's very moving. I still feel very moved. Shri R. Venkatraman was our president then, and he had seen me dance as finance minister, as vice president, and liked me very much. So one day I got a call from Gopal Gandhi, who was then his joint secretary. Says, President wants to see you. Now, off and on, every month, 2 months, I used to go and see him and say hello. And I said, okay, come and have tea and bring your biodata. I said, my biodata? Come on. I said, just do as I say, please, and don't be late, because I was known to be late, 5-10 minutes yahama. So I was there in time, and I was ushered in, and all the nice things came to eat, and we had coffee, filter coffee, and we talked about this and that, and suddenly he says, now, you have brought something for me? So I said, sir, but he says, didn't Gopal tell you? I said, yes, sir, but I mean, give it to me. So he took it and he scanned through it quickly, and then he says, is it true that you have not been honored? I said, no, sir, I've got this. Have you been honored with the national award, the Padma Award? I said, no, sir, but it might have been an award. He said, now, if you allow me, I would like to rectify that mistake. He literally uses rectify this mistake. At that point, I broke down, and I think I wept. And I bowed to him and I said, it will be my great good fortune and privilege, whatever I said, I don't know what I said. But this was something so fantastic, that the President of India should summon me and offer this to me.
It was enough to sort of wipe out the memory of all the earlier insults and innuendos you'd had to suffer.
Yeah.
Of course, there was another person from the establishment who also was a close friend of yours, Morarji Desai. And when he was Prime Minister, I gather you almost inspired the choice of the new president.
Yeah, yes, I'm very proud of that. We had gone to meet him because he complained to my father that I've become Prime Minister, all world has come to me, Sonal hasn't come to meet me. My father scolded me, I said, oh, I'll go. And he was a family friend. So I saw Neelam Sanjeev Reddy coming out of his room. He was then the Speaker of the Parliament. So what is he doing here? And I've been always like this, moop hut, And he says, well, he wants to become the president. I said, can't you ever think beyond politicians and politics? He said, what do you mean? I said, well, what about artists? They are such great people. Give me a name. I said, I'll give you a woman's name, Rukmini Devi. A good name, where is she and all that? So finally, Rukmini Devi turned down the proposal, which was such a sad thing. So to date, you haven't had an artist or a woman as the President of India.
Amazing. You almost chose the name for the biggest job in the country.
Yeah.
You're 56 today and alone. Are you also lonely? Do you miss having children?
I'm alone by choice. I like my solitude. I've created my space and my pace and my time after great struggle, Karan. Do you know what it means to live your own life the way you want? So many people say they don't do it. They can't do it.
So many people also say that there comes an age, 50, 55, when one wants a child. Do you ever feel you wanted a child?
I have so many.
Your
My
students?
God, yeah. They all bring their little things and put them in my lap. And I mean, my students are more than my children.
Are they surrogate children? Are you making them your family because there isn't another family?
I don't make anybody my family. I don't want a family. I just want my friends, I want my students, I want everyone to be happy. I want to be left alone after some point. I think it's inborn in my nature. I like my solitude. I like to be with myself, to read, to do whatever I like. And I want no interference. Thank you very much.
At times, are you a difficult person? Are you a
Why
demanding
at
person?
times? Look, if I'm living in solitude, how can I be demanding?
But what about this drawing of lines? This is my sphere. I want to keep it to myself. This possessiveness of independence. Does it make you a difficult person for others to be with?
No, I think I flow quite a lot because, you know, here is the art of living at work. I don't have to talk about it, but I'm living it. I live in a flow of life. I don't deny people their access to me. I'm very accessible. I don't have a secretary. I pick up my own telephones. I give interviews. People come to ask me for guidance about, you know, problems. You won't believe it. I can open a consultancy tomorrow. At the same time, for a certain period of time every day, I keep it for myself. If I don't do that, I'll go mad.
And now what? You're only 56. You've got all the awards. You're a great dancer. What are the mountain peaks left in the future you want to climb?
My God, I'm looking forward to at least another 20 years of a richer life.
So the
All the things that I haven't done.
the fire burns as strongly inside you as it ever did.
I want to dance. I want to create new things. I want to go scuba diving. I want to become the president of India. I want to do so many things.
You want to be the president of
Why
India.
not?
You want to be what Rukmani Devi should have been as you felt.
And as I proposed the name, I think it's my chance now, don't you think? I'll make a good president.
Are you doing anything about it, or you're just simply telling me?
What can one do about it? One can just really think that, why not? But maybe it will convey itself.
And would you ever consider getting married a third time? Would you ever say to yourself, maybe those were just two mistakes and there is still the right man waiting for me?
Karan, I don't deny anything in life. Because I've learned to say after my accident, I was a fantastic, bubbly thing 1 minute. The next minute, I was like a worm with broken back. So how do I know what's awaiting me in life? I just take it as it comes every day, and I'm so happy, believe you me.
That's the other secret of Sonal, isn't it? Take life as it comes and take it in its flow.
And laugh a lot.
Sonal, you've given us a lot to laugh about during this interview. Good luck, and thank you for a lovely conversation.
Thank you, Karan. Thank you so much.